Good morning, everybody, and welcome to ESO Daily. I am your host, Mystic Raven, and today, as promised, I will be actually showing you guys a tank build that I like to call the Redistributing Leech. I actually love this build. It's not kind of ideal. Once again, I like to come up with builds that, go outside the box. But I will definitely be getting into this. Now, first off, let me make sure I got my food buff up. I probably did, but we're going to go ahead and go into the character sheet first. Now, this is a very unorthodox build, but works very efficiently. First off, you're going to see my max health at 40,088. I know a lot of people are like, that's too much health. I completely disagree, but I'm going to show you why the health is up so much. My max magicka is 18,174, and my max stamina is at 20,065. Now, if you look to the right side, you're also going to see I have a high amount of regen, which magicka is at 1,056, stamina is at 1,058, and of course, my resistance is pretty low considering this is a tank, because without any buffs, I'm starting at my spell resistance at 22.8 and my physical at 20, just barely over 20. To the left side, you're going to go ahead and see how I've distributed my attribute points. Health, we have 47, stamina 11, and magicka 6. Now, this is a red guard. So what I actually intentionally did with this tank build was he has an initial high amount of regen, and I'll just go into the skills to show you. Red Guard actually has a nice amount of regen in their passives. So we get a 9% increase to stam recovery. Also, we get a 10% to max stamina, and of course, we restore 3% of my max stamina on melee attacks, an additional. So the red guard for me was kind of ideal when I was putting this build together, because what I really want to focus on is a high amount of regen and focus in at least hitting that 40,000 life, because when we take a look at the skills, now this is the front bar. Okay, so actually, before I get into the skills, let's get into the gear, shall we? Okay, so we're running a crazy setup with the redistribution set, what I like to call redistribute, but whatever. This set is kind of like ignored majority of the time, but it works with this build because what it does, it gives you max health, max stamina, max magicka. The fifth trait is where this build really shines, because when you heal yourself at full health, you heal an ally within 15 meters for 2,667. This happens every 3 seconds. For me, this is a great complement to this build because I run a lot of self-sustains. I'm going to get healed from a healer, but anything I heal overflows onto my party. Now, I'm not using your conventional heals. What I'm doing is actually in the build, I'm using abilities and sets that will actually heal myself, thus taking the overflow in, the 2,667 and applying it, relieving the healer of, keeping their resources maintained. Okay. Now, as far as as you can see, my sword is redistribution, shield redistribution. Another sword and shield redistribution. Head is my Scourgers. This is in medium. Okay, my chest is heavy. That's redistribution. My shoulders is Malabeth. Once again, that's light, so I can keep my Undaunted passive bonus. My belt is Leeching. Now, this is where this build comes into play, because even though I have a low amount of resistance, this set bonus is great because it's going to give me max health. It's going to give me 4% healing taking, another 4% healing taken, and I have an 8% chance to summon a Cloud of Leeching, which basically deals poison damage, and for 1,430 within 4-meter radius of every second for 5 seconds, and heals me 100% of the damage. That's why I use the redistribution set, because as I'm getting healed, anything that's causing me to heal over is basically healing another party member every 3 seconds. Along with that, with the Scourgers, it's going to constantly keep me up. Most of the time, I don't drop below 20%. I might hit a 30% on a large hit if I don't, try to avoid a mechanic, which most of the time I don't. Okay? So, and then of course, gauntlets of redistribution, pants of redistribution. As you can see, my pants are heavy, my chest is heavy, and are infused. Head's infused, chest infused, legs infused. I went with all divines. Now, if you wanted to go with something like sturdy, you can do that. So that's kind of a preference. My legs are also leeching, and of course the jewelry set's leeching. So I really like this, and I put the regen on the jewelry. So we have a Magicka regen on the necklace, we have a Stam regen on one of the rings, and another Magicka regen. For me, this was a very much a necessity to make sure keeping all of my resources maintained on this build. Now, when we take a look at the skills, we're using explosive charge. Explosive charge, what it's going to do for me is a gap closer, but it's also going to give a stunning effect. So when I'm hitting any type of mobs and I'm trying to get in there, any casters that's going to cast right off the rip, I'm going to go ahead and interrupt them. Okay, we're going to use Pierce Armor. Now, I kind of mix in between Pierce Armor and Inner Rage. I'll get into why I use Inner Rage, but Pierce Armor, once again, if anybody doesn't have a Mark is individual. Pierce Armor, I'm going to be taunting a lot, so I can get, basically give them Major Fracture and Major Breach, reducing the physical and spell resistance for my party members. It just helps get through the ads a lot faster. Heroic Slash, I really like Heroic Slash because it gives the minor main. And it gives me minor heroism, increasing my ultimate regen, which I typically would use for, my ultimates. For this build, I use sweeps on my back bar, and I'll get into it, but it helps me regen. If I decide to use Warhorn, it just helps me grab an extra ultimate at a faster rate. Okay, Absorb Magic. This is a really good ability for this build because it's absorbing 20,000 damage and it's healing me 17% of the max health, and also it's increasing my block. So for 8%, I really like this. So usually with this build, I'll always keep this slotted. Radiant Aura is on both back bars. The reason being, it's going to give me a health, stamina, and magical recovery of 10%. I can also activate it and increase my party's regen rate as well. Pack Leader. I don't activate this ultimate. It's simply there just for the sole purpose of the 15% stamina recovery. That's the only reason I have it slotted. Now on the back bar, I use Inner Rage. The reason I like the Magicka version of this, because it increases the chance of the synergy by 35%. And if you're in trials, I wouldn't run this set on a trial. But when you're in a trial and you use this, and people are using trial sets to activate on synergies, this is a great taunt. It has a range effect, and it also is going to help activate their 5th bonus on their trial sets. So for me, I always run this on a lot of my tanks. Almost every build I'm ever going to run on a tank, I'm going to have this on a back bar or primary, depending on the build. Puncturing Sweeps. Now, Puncturing Sweeps, I'm not concerned with DPS as a tank. Really, I don't give a shit how much damage I'm actually doing as a tank. My job is to mitigate. But what this actually does for me, especially when I have a large group of ads, it's going to heal me 40% of the damage done. So for each ad hit, I'm healing myself. That's going to contribute with the redistribution set. Bone Surge. This is the bread and butter of the mitigating effects for this build, and for a lot of tanks that if you're going to use this, if you're a high health tank, Bone Surge is great because it absorbs 30% of the damage to your max health. I cannot stress enough that when people say you have too much health, well, if it's 30% of my max health, who's going to get, a better benefit from it? Somebody with 32,000 or somebody with 40 and up thousand? Do the math, people. Do the math. So I'm going to absorb 30% of my max health, which I'm sitting at 40. So that's a very nice little cushion right there. And plus it also has the synergy absorbing 60% of my allies' damage to their max health. And it's also going to increase their healing received by 8%. So in trials, it's hard to synergize with this. You usually have to get in the back, but if you can synergize with it, it's a really good added feature to people in trials as well. Restoring Focus. Once again, this is going to be a mitigating effect for me with the Templar because it's going to increase my physical resistance and my spell resistance by 5,280, also giving me minor vitality and minor protection, increasing my healing received by 8%. Add that on top of the other 8%, and we're getting 16% towards healing received. Also, as I said, I have Radiant Aura on this. Now, I use Empowering Sweep on random dungeons. So if I'm doing a 4-man, I use this. The reason being, it reduces damage dealt to me by 15% for 10 seconds, plus an additional 4% for each enemy hit. So when I'm in amongst the mobs and I'm taunting a lot, I just go ahead, pop the sweep, and I can reduce that damage amount considerably. But if I'm in a trial, I'll switch out my gear, and of course, I'll put the Warhorn on. So kind of very, very important when you're taking a look at the abilities here. Now, when we're taking a look at champion points, it's going to be a little bit more chaotic than most of my builds. I'm not going to lie to you. But Blessed we have at 15%. Why? Once again, we're using healing effects. So if you're using Puncturing Sweeps or Absorb Magic, this will actually take that into effect and increase the healing capability of those abilities. Elemental Experts at 15%, just for the simple fact that I use Inner Fire. So for me, that is a pretty much, just trying to get that a little bit high because, I split it up. Okay, I just put one into Weapon Expert, one into Shattering Blows. I don't focus on that a lot. Mighty is at 89% because Leeching is going to deal poison damage. So once again, I try to keep that up to about 23%, considering that the set deals poison. So the higher amount of poison damage it's going to deal, the more I'm going to get healed. Okay, Ironclad's at 4.9. I just want to be able to use that for, breaks and stuff like that. I split between, I keep Hardy up at 21%, a little high because I'm a werewolf, so I'm going to take extra poison damage. But I usually don't activate it, but I keep that at a 21%. And my Elemental Defender's at 16%. Quick Recovery, I want to increase my healing received because I had 16. We add this with another 10%. Now we're looking at 26% towards my healing received, which is a very, very plus for this build because, once again, we're using self-sustaining heals in this build, and that also helps when the healer keeps us healed so we can receive more healing. Magicians at 6.4 to reduce. Warlords at 6.6. The reason being I use both. I use Magicka and Stamina because I'm using tri-statted food. So I use increase my Stamina, my Magicka, and my health. Bashing Focus is only at 1, just to reduce the cost. Mooncalf is at 17.5, 60 points allocated. I use a lot of stamina for blocking, so I want to keep that up a little bit high, and I'm also using some stam abilities. So I keep that a little higher than the Magicka because my Magicka's at 10%. I'm going to weave in and out between my blocks, so I'm going to have Tenacity at 5.9. Healthy, I have Health Recovery at 5%. I don't need it so high because, once again, I'm going to have self-sustaining heals, and I'm going to have a lot of healing received, so I don't need to focus on Healthy. But usually a lot of tank builds, they like to get that Health Recovery up there, and that's understandable. Shadow Ward, I reduced my blocking cost by 9.5. The reason being because, as you guys know, I'm a tank and I'll be blocking frequently. So I keep that at a moderate 9.5 just to reduce the cost. Okay? So pretty much in a nutshell, that is the build. I personally love this build. I don't know what the dailies are, but guess what? We're going to do it. And of course, since I'm a tank, I can guarantee you we're probably going to get a kill. I love to show off the builds and its functionality to give you guys an idea of how it's working. Now, I'll be honest, I'm not the best tank in this game because I primarily play healer. All my prior games, I was a tank, so I'm not new to it. So all the games besides DCUO and ESO, I've always played like a support class like healer or like a troller in DCUO. But in this game, I actually went healer intentionally because I kind of fell into it. I actually started off with the DPS, but the game's plagued with DPS, so I decided to go with healer. So for me, I have a lot of experience in tanking throughout the game. Every other game I played main tank. So, it's kind of weird. And like UO, I actually was like a hybrid build because they didn't have like content like raids and trials. So it was a true sandbox MMO. EverQuest, I played a tank. WoW, obviously I was a tank. Actually, I started off as a warrior DPS, a rage warrior. But and after I hit GM, my guild was like, "Oh, you need a tank." Molten Core, when Molten Core came out, so of course I adapted and I picked up tank, and then I played Druid tank as well. So and in Rift, I was actually had every build tank. Even when they introduced Mage tank, that was pretty badass because I was a Mage tank. It was pretty fun.
I hope pirates are the same as
I have yesterday's. Well, that's not good. Alright, we'll just drop these ones, and we'll see what the ones are for today, because I definitely want my Qs. Alright, let's see what we got.
Look me in arcs.
Nah, it's not too bad. Arx Corinium.
Armored.
Way Rest. I wish it would tell you in the title when you pick them up if it's Way Rest 1 or Way Rest 2. But by the bosses, you just need to supposedly know it, I guess. But I'll just go in here and check. It should be 2, actually. Yep. So Way Rest 2 and Arx Corinium. I'm pretty comfortable with that. Alright. Oh, passed it up. Where did I? Where in the heck? Man, sometimes my navigation. Don't ever drive with me, people. I'll get us lost for sure. Believe it. Right under it. Now, if it goes to voice chat, I will actually back up out of that. Do not need to be in voice chat today. Okay, so we got Way Rest 2. I'm pretty happy with this. But once again, guys, I like this build because I like coming out with builds that like most people would never think of. A lot of people use leeching, so I'm not going to say leeching plate is a new concept to most players. Redistribution, however, is. You won't see really a lot of tanks use it. I don't need to apply my food buff because we already know it's on. Just waiting for people. Let's actually see what we got today. Probably all 561s. Oh, it's 1471. Still doable. This is not a bad dungeon. It's kind of funny because everybody's like, oh, do you need the keys? And I'm like, no, I have a free monster set. Actually, I just got my Valkynscorian Divine Shoulders the other day. I was pretty pumped up about that. It's been eluding me for months now. And I finally got it. And I was just so elated. I was like, yes! Now, keep in mind, I don't play tank as much as some. I mean, I have tank trials and stuff. I'm okay. There are definitely a lot better tanks out there than me.
I have a good feeling about these tunnels. Perhaps
They could take the dialogue and throw it out the window as far as I'm concerned. Now, as you guys could see, I'll try to... Now, once I got everything, I'll throw down. Try to pick up more aggro as much as possible. Now this is where I might use the sweeps when I got everything kind of corralled. Go back in on that. I think the healer's dealing damage too. I do not do a lot of damage as a healer unless I'm on my Nightblade, and then of course that's part of that build. I always try to keep that bone shield up in between my poles. There's the interrupt. Okie day. Move this stuff real quick. I love it when people go without the tank. One of my favorite things to do. Have to pick up what they already got for aggro. Man, this healer sucks. I hope he doesn't watch my channel. Nothing to... I don't think so. All right.
People are alive.
Let's see.
Drugged. I'm guessing kidnapped from the city.
I bet she's double queued.
Damn it. Right.
It's not even a healer.
I'll take our friends to find Pellinger.
I'm gonna get a real healer in here. We don't have a healer. What? Cinemax, what? What is this? Yeah. We... Whatever. I was wondering why some people were dying. I love it when somebody's like, oh, we don't need a healer. Okay. I mean, I'm doing heals. It'll heal some people, but not for that much. Once again, I saw your comment. I just can't, you know. No, hopefully we have a real healer here. Yes. Yes and yes and yes. Sweet. I think we can pull at least. I might die on this attempt. Ah, what? Here's the testament to the build. No healer, Mom. No, I'm not going to use any healing pods either. Let's see what's up. Oh, yeah. Now, am I going to try that on a boss? I don't think I'm that ballsy. I'd do it, but these guys will probably die. Please stay. Yes, it's a healer. It's kind of early. Usually you can get good queues in the mornings. Come on. You can do it, Mon. Just load, load. This guy's going to come in and think like we epically failed. Anytime I come in on a first boss as a healer, first thing I'm like is, what went wrong? Why am I being dragged into a dungeon that already had the mobs done? They're waiting at the boss. That's my thought process as I'm coming into these type of scenarios. As a healer, you can kind of carry. If you're a really good healer, you can carry a team through it. Not always the best results, but if you're that good of a healer, you can pull off some shit. But as a DPS, if you have a shit healer, tanks can sometimes carry people through even with shit healers. But DPS, you're kind of vulnerable to your tank and your healer. You're just kind of exposed. Like, if a healer sucks, you're fucked. If a tank can't hold aggro, you're fucked. It's just the name of the game. And it's kind of like, it's in every MMO, unless they don't have dungeons. Like, SWG didn't have dungeons, and for people who don't know what SWG is, SWG was Star Wars Galaxies. So a lot of you are familiar with KOTOR, Knights of the Old Republic, which I played, and it was okay, but it didn't have the atmosphere that SWG did. SWG had very open worlds. That, you know, when you went to Tatooine, you could actually travel the planet of Tatooine. So it was a very large MMO, but it didn't have dungeons or anything. And now it did have what they call the Corvette run, which was kind of a group content that a lot of players played, but it wasn't ideally what you would consider a normal trial or raid run. But I was a huge player in SWG back in the day. PvPer, crafter. I had a lot of different characters. I had an Elder Jedi, and I really enjoyed the game when it was, you know, before the NGE, which was the new game enhancements, and it went south. But you know, that's a little bit of MMO history for the people who were never there to experience it. It was a great game. Oh no. Why? Probably AFK. That's not good. Sometimes this fixes that. You guys, oh shit.
You'll ruin everything.
Sir?
No,
What's going on?
seriously, do not aggro that.
Master Pelengera! Damn it!
Oh, I was about to say, these guys better not aggro it. Feel bad.
Must be some way to check around the altars.
Devs, take notes. Sometimes our healers or another party member is not getting inside. There we go. I don't even care if he's a low level, to be honest with you. I really don't. Sometimes these dungeons take long just because of situations like this, and you can't help it. It's something you cannot control. I feel bad, especially, you know. All right, there's the healer. Activate those bitches. What are you guys doing? Yes, activate. That's you. No, go activate. You dumbass. Get over it. Are you serious? I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. I guarantee it. Got people who don't know the mechanics here. They're at up high levels and they don't know how to activate a shrine. Okay. As you guys can see, I'm keeping pretty good on the resources with this build. Okay, let's hope that... Good. Now you see that little green pool down there? That's the leeching effect. Consequently, it works a lot better when there's a concentration of mobs under it. There we go, 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 go. Now, if I'm ever getting low, I'll use the potion. And keep in mind, guys, I'm at 40,000. You know, oh, it's too much life, Mystic. Get good. Okay. Whatever. Oh, yeah, all this stuff's gonna die. Most people will try to skip these bosses. I will not. Come back here, guys. Oh, maybe there isn't a boss back here. I don't think there is. Actually, that's in 1, not 2, so we probably will skip this. Well, maybe there is a boss. Most of the time I skip this. I haven't done this one for a minute. Short-term memory is being affected. Alright, here we go. Now when I have this much, I'll hit the sweeps. Go ahead and hit jabs. Alright. Yeah, sweet. Knew it! There is a boss! They're liars. As you guys can see, the life, I mean, this build really helps healers out quite a bit. I'm pretty happy with it. God. Come on, DPS. Push it. Alright. There we go. I'm not actually gonna lie, I actually used to use Scourgers in PvP before the cooldown. So a lot of people are gonna be like, no, it's cancerous. I miss you, Hessian. Get, stop it. Come on down. Here. Kind of move him. Want to keep him out of the fire as much as possible. Cutting him back. This is how we take. Ooh, combat's position belt divine. I already have it, but pretty good.
There he is. What's going on here?
You got what you wanted out of my children. You promised to return the favor. I don't care what it takes, just keep them away.
Come on in,
They're
dude.
here. They are not to proceed further, Garin.
Hold on.
Do you hear me?
We're missing Big.
A Leech. Hope you're ready for a second death.
That's
you
right,
undead
Big.
bastard.
Come on. Now, I like to activate the synergies for the bonus too, because the Undaunted bonus, anytime I activate a synergy, even though I don't need the stam, that's going to help me recoup the magicka. Saves on pots. Now, keep in mind, guys, this is the redistribution set. This isn't anything crazy. Most vets I can do, I would never run this in a trial per se, but it definitely works out great for all the vets. You can go all the way with this. We got a man down. I don't like healers picking up anybody. Try to pick up all these ads. Give me the aggro. All to me. Ah, there it is. Nope, still wrong potion. Oh well. That was on my left. Wow, guys. I don't know what's up with the deeps today, people. Not my fault. I'm doing my job. I'm doing my part. That's all I can say. I'm doing my part. You know, I'm actually surprised this boss doesn't teleport like it did the first time. You gross. Gross. Hit that twice by accident. All right. I don't. I don't know what to say, guys. Is that dude doing impales already? He's using a finisher? Oh my gosh. Oh my god, he is! Oh my god, look at this! I hope y'all are watching this. Oh my god. Oh, that's no wonder. This is what I gotta deal with. 471. Oh my god. I need to be a nice. Well, I don't know. I don't know. Now this is a perfect time to use the fighting jabs. We got him on a narrow hallway.
Move to flank.
Don't worry, DPS. I'll do what I can. I'm a tank, but I bet you guys are all laughing. Like, I bet you had more magic or stamina now, Mystic. Jesus. It's okay. I love seeing DPS come in full plate. That is still the most hilarious thing. I mean, I know they've improved it, but seriously, guys, if you're a stam and you're wearing full plate in a dungeon, please stop that shit. It's not helping you. Yes, it deals out a little bit more damage. Yes, I know all this shit. But for God's sake, it's not pushing out as much DPS as medium. So Just stop. Oh my gosh, guys. I did not know. Once again, this is random. This is a pug. This is pug life, people. I mean, seriously, I cannot predict this shit. You know, you cannot anticipate what I'm going to get when I do this shit on random. So don't hold that shit against me. We will get through this, though. I promise. Together, we can do it. I'm a believer. But once again, this helps the vitality of all my builds. You know, whatever. It helps show the real, how effective these builds are when I do this type of stuff. When I roll with pugs, it shows how good the build will do in any scenario. And once again, I'm a believer of that. I'm always like, you know what, I can roll with any pre-made, right? What can the build do in a pug? That's the testimony of your build. When you go in there and you roll in a pug and it still does its job effectively, then you know you've got a viable build.
Let's get this over with.
Yes, I agree. I completely agree with that statement. Let's get this over with.
Maybe I'll get through this time.
Somebody better...
Lorraine,
Is this serious?
it's your father.
Go... You gotta go kill those mobs, man. I'll have to pull this and still get all those mobs. It's okay. I agree. It's alright. I agree with this guy, man. He's saying everything I'm thinking. Completely. He's psychic.
Forgive me.
I don't want people to die. We'll just pull them all over here. Bats! 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 How many hits does it take to bring down a bat? Let's find out. 1, 2, 3. Hey, he hit me before he teleported. That's a cheater. Guy was a cheater. Telling. Jesus. Get off. Oh no, Mystic, you have too much life. You can't maintain your resources that way. Fucking idiots. Oh yeah. Good call, Temp. Damn it. One down. Bats. Again. Bats. Take more magic. We'll activate that bitch. Man down! Man down! Boy, he's ashes too. Don't worry, dude. I'll get you. Ah, maybe. Oh. There he goes. Same technique. Boy. That flawless victory. Alright guys, there you go. You got to see it in action. The Redistributing Leech build. Really good build. Fun. You know, it definitely it helps. But yeah, there you guys go. So I'm always going to encourage players, once again, think outside the box. Play with your builds. You know, be practical, but definitely try to think about other unique builds. To me, this is, like I said yesterday, this is what this game is all about, thinking outside the box. And this is why I fell in love with Morrowind. It was a sandbox MMO. Even though this is still class-based, they still put the sandbox element into it with the builds and the gear. So once again, I always tell people, don't believe the hype. There are many ways to achieve different things. And yes, I mean, you can wear plate now as a DPS. I personally don't like giving up the crit bonuses from the medium, but that's me. But there are different ways of doing things, and I will say that. So once again, keep going, guys. Thank you for watching. If you have any comments, please post below. If you're on the PS4, please visit our community site. That's ESO Daily. I want to thank everybody for watching, and once again and always, have a nice day.